I'm Giles, Enterprise Architect for Bulletproof, and I'm going to talk to you about Azure Integration Services. To do this, going to use this fictitious application. So these guys have recently migrated over to Azure, and they're already enjoying the benefits of scale, reliability, development cost savings for their non-production environments, and they're also able to do blue-green deployments. It's a standard web-based e-commerce application with deep integration into SAP for order fulfillment, and it's exposing an API layer which we use to consume consumed by some of our mobility apps. An immediate requirement for this application is to start ingesting information from Salesforce and from Office 365, and also to start responding to events generated from those SaaS applications. Also, as part of our new digital strategy, we want to expose new digital channels to our suppliers, partners, and customers. We want to free up data to move between some of our systems and be able to easily implement new systems into our architecture. We want to provide a single customer view for our contact center, and we want to have a solid platform from which to innovate and bring new product features to our customer base. So this is our new application architecture, leveraging some of the Azure integration services. So we have Enterprise Service Bus sitting in the middle, routing messages between all of these other Azure services. We have BizTalk Server, Logic Apps, and API Manager. And what we've done here is removed custom point-to-point integration, basically decoupled all of our dependencies. We facilitated the flow of data between systems, and we've also removed the dependency from our application layer to serve APIs, and we're doing that through an API manager. And we've also managed to integrate some of our SaaS applications, namely Salesforce and Office 365. So a little bit about each of these services. So Azure Service Bus sits in the middle of our architecture and basically forms our messaging fabric and routes all messages are routed through our service bus. It facilitates message interchange across hybrid or multi-cloud, and it supports your standard queue, publish, subscribe type patterns, and it's also designed for synchronous or asynchronous messaging types. And there's standard baked-in support for REST, AMQP, and WS specification. BizTalk Server. So if you remember, we were using SAP. So BizTalk Server, as many of you might know, have been around for about 16 years now. It's tried and tested in the field. And it seems so. What happens with BizTalk Server is our messages are routed through our enterprise service bus. And then we use BizTalk Server to then do our message transformation, apply any business rules, and do our business process management before we push it into SAP. And similarly, if we want to expose data back out into our enterprise, we can do it through our BizTalk services and then through our enterprise service bus. Logic Apps. So this is a relatively new Azure integration service, and basically an integration platform as a service. So the idea being that it comes with a bunch of connectors. There's pre-built connectors for the likes of Salesforce, for for Office 365, for ServiceNow, that kind of thing. And the idea being that you build these connectors together using a GUI editor into a workflow. And these connectors can be triggered very easily from various different endpoints, so from an API call, from an Azure function call, or from an event generated from Salesforce, or from me writing a message on my SharePoint site. There's various different ways of connecting these. And again, there's no reason why these connectors couldn't be used in place of BizTalk Server. The reason for going for BizTalk Server is its deep integration, its EDI capabilities, and it's just the fact that it's tried and tested. And finally, the API Manager. So, as you remember, or if you remember, we want to expose our API out to different customers. And in order to do so, we remove the APIs out of our web tier from our application, and we move them into an API server. So this is basically this manages APIs, and it just routes API calls to whatever backend service we need. It supports import of Swagger and Waddle. It provides a discoverability through its own API portal and also using the Azure API Manager API. It provides versioning, so we can support backwards compatibility for our APIs for our customers, and industry standard authentication, also mutual SSL, OAuth, OpenID, token-based, and Azure Active Directory, of course. We can apply policies on our APIs. So if we want a quota or we want to provide a sandbox for our developers to go and try the APIs in a non-production environment, we can apply transformations between XML and JSON and vice versa. And we can enforce header checking rules, HTTP header checking rules and whatnot. In fact, there's many things we can do through this policy-driven model. Additionally, we get real-time insights into our API usage. So we can see how our APIs are being used, where we might want to implement new features or new versions from our APIs. So just to summarize, these are just a subset of the available services, Azure integration services. And importantly, they're fully managed by Azure and they're charged based on usage. This doesn't preclude us from using any other integration platform. We can use Tibco, we could use WSO2, and we can push them into some kind of hybrid integration pattern. So, in order to summarize, a well-considered architecture is core to the digital strategy, and in the case of our fictitious company, has given them the foundation to innovate. And with that, I'll introduce Cara, our engineering manager, to talk about Azure developer tooling. Thank you.